Hi, and welcome to another episode of Walleye Chronicles, where I bring you guys in off the streets and figure out how you became the fisherman you are, what got you going as a kid, all the way up to where you are now. If you want to be on an episode of Walleye Chronicles, hit me up on my socials, and we'll get you on here to talk about you and how you grew up fishing. This week, I have a gentleman out of Minnesota. Travis Rohrich is with me this week. How's it going today, Travis?
Good.
So we had an opportunity to fish together a little while ago. Travis is a TikToker that I met on TikTok and through another TikToker, Walleye Guy number 7, I believe, on TikTok. If you want to follow his stuff.
Yes, that is correct.
So where'd you grow up? Where were you born, raised, all that kind of fun stuff?
Grew up in Fargo, North Dakota. Went to West Fargo High. Moved down to Colorado in 06. And then moved back to be closer to home.
You're all over the place.
In 2021, we moved back.
What was it like growing up in Fargo?
I liked it.
That's
I'm an outdoors guy, so it fit perfect for fishing all kinds of rivers, lakes. It worked out great. I could ride my bike to the local river and sit there and fish all day.
that's a different kind of cold, though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even to people in northern Minnesota, Fargo's a little colder, it seems like.
Yeah, it definitely hits a lot colder than everywhere else, it seems.
Is it the cold or is it the wind?
Well, the wind. There is no blockage at all.
That's funny. So what's your first memory of fishing?
First memory of fishing is with my dad down on the river catfishing. Wild Rice River just south of Fargo.
So you guys on
Um,
the boat or on the shore? Or?
no, actually, a majority of my childhood, my dad did not have a boat. We didn't have the luxury of having one at the time. So we every once in a great while we would rent a boat from an outfitter resort out of Ottertail Lake,
Okay.
and we'd go out that way every once in a while. But most of the time, it was just we were out on the river together.
Shore fishermen.
Yep.
It's a different breed of people. Growing up shore fishing, I grew up, we had a boat, but we didn't have anything crazy where we're out in big lakes or nothing. It was small rivers, but it's a different kind of breed. You do things differently when you grow up fishing on the shore.
Oh, for sure. Growing up on fishing on shore all my life. Still until just last year, I was shore hopping. Um, Unless I got invited by a couple friends to go out in their boat with them. But yeah, it's different.
Right.
A lot of looking up lake maps and trying to find those deep holes in those contours that you could easily access from shore.
Right. And finding access to that area too, or
Yeah,
knowing where they are and trying to find a way to get there.
yeah, exactly. That's the biggest part without trespassing on somebody's lawn or anything.
Right. So the old adage, as long as your feet are wet,
Yeah.
you're okay. So it was just, well, how kind of was it, live bait, cut bait? How are you fishing for those catfish?
Growing up, we used cut bait. A lot of fish for the bait in the river, and then use cut bait there. Um, Worms, your typical bait, and chicken liver, stuff like that in the river. And then as I got older, my dad started pursuing a lot of walleye fishing, and that's primarily what we always targeted was walleyes.
What made the change? What made him go from the catfishing to the walleye? You
I
remember?
think as I got older, it was easier for me to be out in a boat with him,
Okay,
and he didn't have to worry so much.
I gotcha. So going back to, you said catching bait in the shore. So as a kid, I grew up somewhat similar. We did a lot of shore fishing for flatheads, but
Hmm.
I had to during the day, if we were going fishing at night, my dad would let me know. I would have to catch the bait in the rocks alongside the shore during the day and get him what he was looking for. So it was, I don't know if you did this or not, but it was a little mini pole, a little chunk of night crawler, and you went and just dipped it in each and every rock along the shore.
No, we never did that. It was mainly throw a night crawler out, try to get a golden eye or something,
Oh, okay.
and use that as cut bait.
So we were using live, I suppose that we were using live baits. So we'd be using rock bass or bluegills or little fish like that. So I had to go down and catch them all the time, and it was actually the funnest time. I was thinking back of going and doing it just to do it again because you'd have your shoreline, and we lived somewhat close to the river, so I'd walk to the river and take my buck with me and try to catch what he needed for the night, if it was bluegills or roaches or um, little bullheads or whatever it was, but slightly
Gotcha.
slightly different. So then you guys,
Yeah, just a little bit.
so then you guys moved up to walleye fishing. What was that like for your first
Yes.
experience?
Long days in the boat, very boring for a kid.
Was it because your dad was learning how to fish and you weren't successful yet, or just hard fishing back then?
Just hard fishing. My dad grew up fishing, as a kid, ride his bike down to the river, fish walleyes, catfish. And transitioning to a boat, it's a lot different.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the techniques are all still basically the same, but now you got boat control to worry about where they are on the lake. And especially when you're just renting a boat from a resort that
right.
doesn't have electronics or anything,
That's
it
true.
it makes it kind of hard.
Plus, you expand, I suppose, the space too. You're not used to having all that space to work with.
Yeah.
Generally, if you're
I mean,
shore, you only get your 100 feet here and there.
yeah, exactly. I can't tell you how many times I slept in the bow of the boat, being bored or cold or whatever.
What was your what was your snacks that you had to have when you were a kid?
I always had to have pop and jerky.
Pop and jerky, certain kind of pop,
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
I was a big Mountain Dew drinker growing up.
I keep you
And then you
awake.
had to have the jerky and of course, your occasional Twizzlers or something like that in the boat.
Was there a stopping point that was always where you and your dad always stopped at? Was there a bait stop or something on those lines that was the stop before you went all the time?
There was a little tiny bait shop, 24-hour service right off of Highway 10 that unfortunately is no longer there. But yeah, that's where we would stop all the time to go get our bait, renew our license. Um, Great bait shop, little, pretty much had a little variety of everything you needed. So it
Right.
worked out great.
Those were the best.
Yes.
I mean, some of the chips and stuff may have been stale after a while, but those seem to be the best places,
Yeah, and you could always call them up ahead of time, and they always came through for you.
right?
If you needed a flatted night crawlers, give them a call. They'll get them.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty crazy. You don't see there's not too many of those around anymore, of the smaller, mom and pop shops, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah, we got one local nearby us, just a few blocks away from me, and I mean, I try to spend every dollar I can
Right.
down there.
Yeah, otherwise they're gonna go away. They're gonna be always just be the big box stores and online, and I mean, I get it, but it's kind of a different world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, your big box store is not going to be open at 5, 6 in the morning for you,
Yep.
where these guys are.
Yeah. So, when did you guys start having success, or when did you start paying off for you guys?
It started. I mean, we were successful here and there. I would say probably around the early 2000s. My uncle actually had a Lund boat that he would let us borrow every once in a while
Nice.
when he wasn't using it, and we'd go out and you know go out and do our fishing, and we'll get our limits and everything, and head back and I remember always making sure that the boat was well clean, uh, way better than what it was when we picked it up. So if we ever wanted to borrow it again, he had no question about what kind of condition it was being brought back in.
Right. It's always kind of funny how you borrow a boat and it's always usually super messed up, but by you're done with it, you spend most of your day cleaning it out for them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. About I want to say it was 2000. My dad ended up buying an Alumacraft.
Oh,
So at that point, then everything changed.
everything changed.
Yeah, we were always out hitting all kinds of different lakes around Otter Tail County, spending a lot of time in the Perham area. So we did a lot of bouncing around from various lakes around that area.
So once you got
Got to know a lot of the bodies of water really well.
so once you got the boat, was it just full speed ahead every weekend kind of thing, or as much as you could get out?
Yeah, every weekend. Yeah, I mean, me and him worked at the same plant. where we would be done at 3 o'clock. There was several times we'd have the boat loaded in the back of the truck, get done with work, and we would go.
That's awesome. So did you get a chance to fish much in high school or with friends or anything like that, or like riverside kind of stuff? Get any trouble like that?
I I did. I would always ride my bike down to the river. I just lived right next to the Cheyenne River in the town that I grew up on. So I would always ride my bike, fish the diversion, which was a little bit farther to the west of the town, or the Cheyenne actually flowed right through town. So I'd hit that quite often, almost every day.
What was biting for you down there?
A lot of catfish, bullheads, um, nothing too fancy. Every once in a while you might get a walleye, but it wasn't very often in that area.
Was it easy to catch fish?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, just a plain hook and a worm. Just doing kid style stuff. I didn't really care what I was catching at the time. I just
Right.
wanted to be out fishing.
Give me a hook and a sinker and a pole, and we're good to go.
Yep, exactly.
Did you have friends that come along with you?
Yes, I did have four good friends that love to fish and everything. So we'd go hit different spots around town together on our bikes, and several times riding a bike back with a stringer of catfish and all your gear was kind of difficult, but we managed.
I always get those looks going across town. How'd your dad feel when you brought the fish home?
He loved it.
Did he?
Yeah, he loved having catfish, and he just knew that it was, you know, being in the small town, he'd rather me be out fishing than be out causing other issues, getting into bad stuff. So
Right.
he didn't care that I was out fishing or wanted to go fishing.
So what happened with your so everybody kind of has a difference. They start out fishing with their dad and stuff, get the high school with friends, and then they get a driver's license. How did that go for your fishing world?
Yeah, it really didn't change a whole lot. I mean, it broadened my areas of where I could fish. But primarily, I still fished with my dad a lot,
Yeah.
and my grandpa too. He would come with us occasionally, but yeah, I mean, it was just go and be able to travel it around to different areas, hit different spots on the rivers, different lakes, and just shore hop them.
That's cool. So when you guys got that boat, what was some of the modifications you guys made to it to make it your own? Did you have any electronics or anything like that on there?
Yeah, we threw. I believe he still runs the same electronics. I just got him a new electronic 2 years ago for Father's Day. But yeah, Lowrance HDS 5, I think, is what the new electronic was, and then we threw a Minn Kota trolling motor on it, and that's about all we've done to it.
Wow. So how does he feel with electronics? Obviously, he didn't have electronics growing up. What did that? Were you able to kind of take charge that faster, or kind of help him understand things quicker, or was he a fast learner as well?
He's a fast learner on it. He's not one of those to get into the whole "you got to have this, you got to have that." As I said, I mean, he just got his new upgraded electronics 2 years ago, so he's been running the same thing for 20 years. And his biggest thing is contours,
Hmm.
weed lines, and speeds. He's a huge back troller,
Oh,
which it produces a lot of fish. And he'll bump it from 1 mile an hour, and then he'll let it coast down to point 0.5, and a lot of lindy rigging.
oh, got his system down.
Oh yeah, he's got his system down, and it works.
Does he vary from that system, or if that system's not working, he's calling it a day?
Yeah, I mean, if that system's not working, he's pretty much calling it a day. Yeah, but I mean, there's been very rare occasions that we've ever actually not picked off at least a couple.
It's a very good. They're pretty tried and true tactics. They are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So is that what you guys
He's not.
normally did growing up then? Like linear rigging and stuff like that, or
Yep. Yeah, and he does not like trolling crankbaits. He will pitch, but he prefers to. It goes back to the whole confidence thing.
oh
His
yeah,
confidence is in the back trolling, and and that's what he likes to stick with.
I
So
suppose,
I don't blame him because it works.
yeah, it works, and you got 10, 15, 20 years of it. There's a lot of
Yeah,
history there telling you what you should be doing.
yeah, exactly.
So you guys are on the boat almost every weekend. When did it? When was there a turning? Was there a turning point where you're like, I'm going to do this forever? Like, I got to make sure I fish as much as possible whenever I can fish.
I think at a very young age, and I shouldn't, I guess not very young. I would say probably more around my high school years, when I did get my driver's license and everything. My cousin was very close growing up, and we hunted and fished a lot together. And I think that was pretty much the turning point. I always enjoyed fishing every chance I could. My mom's dad had a lake cabin, so growing up, I'd always fish off the dock
Oh,
as well. So um, had all the opportunities, but yeah, I would say at high school, I was every day, every chance I could get, I wanted to be on the water.
what's the first thing you bought for yourself that you remember fishing thing with your own money?
Oh man, I'd have to say I probably bought myself a brand new G Loomis rod.
Ooh, ooh. You still have that rod?
I don't know.
Oh, how'd you break it?
And to tell you the truth, I don't even think it was ever even
Oh,
broken. I think it just over the years of all the wear on
I
them.
suppose, yeah. Usually stuff doesn't, when we buy them young like that, generally stuff doesn't last for, I mean, it lasts forever until we make a oops on it. And all of a sudden, now it's a catfish rod.
Yeah, exactly.
I have some killer St. Croix catfish rods, let me tell you.
Oh, I bet. Always been a fan of the Berkeley lightning rods.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily growing up, that's all we ever
Oh,
used.
that is correct. I do remember those. I had a couple of those. Yeah, that's back when it was still a foam, when they had foam
The
grips.
foam handles.
Yep, foam
Yep.
handles. Yeah, I do really remember those. I remember the little lightning logo through there.
Yep, exactly. And they had the catfish power rod too,
Hmm.
with the fluorescent green tip on it.
So, what was your favorite style of fishing growing up? Just kind of casting and doing the nightcrawler thing, or did you get any crankbaits ever and doing that kind of stuff?
No, I didn't really get into crankbaits when I was younger. Um, Lindy rigging was really all I had known. Occasional slip bobber, go out and slip bobber every once in a great while, but most of the time it was just, the back troll and Lindy rigs.
I gotcha. So, did you ice fish this whole time too, as well?
Yes. Yep.
How was that? Other than being cold
That
and
was
having,
good.
other than being cold and having 7 feet of ice underneath you.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it was tough, but uh, Dad didn't really do a lot of ice fishing unless you could drive out. So it was primarily just me pulling the house. Um, he would go, and we would just, if his friend was going or something, we'd set up where they were,
Oh, gotcha.
typically on a bite somewhere that he ended up getting information on.
Well, that's cool. But I mean, up by you guys though, saying when you can, or growing up over there, saying only when you can drive, that's a lot of a year compared to the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Typically, I mean, fairly early in the season, we had typically around 20 inches
Man,
right around Christmas, typically.
man, we don't even freeze anymore by Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep on freezing, that's for sure.
Right? I mean, I always can remember, or recently, is seeing Red Lake freeze so early, and usually it's gun hunting by us. So the whole week off, all I see is people up on Red Lake smashing walleyes at the start of the year, and we're not gonna have ice for another month, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, typically if I could get on ice around or before Thanksgiving, that's typically a good year.
Wow, that would be awesome. That would be. I don't even remember last time we could do that. That didn't require travel.
Yeah.
So your dad got the boat. You really guys got kind of pushed into walleye fishing. Where'd it go from there?
Where it went from there is I actually moved down to Colorado, and I got into shore fishing down there on the reservoirs. Um, got into some local tournaments down there, and then that's what really sparked my competitive drive. I've always been competitive, and being around walleyes, my whole
Hmm.
life. I didn't really think I could really compete against a lot of these top anglers in the area. Um, but I had the knowledge. I just needed to get the additional skill set on the jigging and trolling
Yep.
and everything. And one of the guides down there actually took me out one time, and I put on my first planer board my whole life. Never done planer boards, didn't even know how to set up a line counter. So from there, it just fired everything forward, um, and sparked that competitive drive
You remember the
of
first?
getting into walleye tournaments.
Do you remember the first wall tournament you were in?
Yes, I do.
How'd you do?
I was actually in Colorado, and I made the biggest rookie mistake of not certifying my board with the certified board. And come to find out, my board was an inch and a half short, or yeah, inch and a half long
Okay.
of the certified board. And I threw three fish that would have been legal, that we would have won the tournament.
Oh, it was like it's a slot thing.
Yeah, it's a 18-inch slot.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I threw three of them back that would have been it, and we kept one that was 3 pounds, and the top weight was 7.
Wow. That's a kick. It's a quick. I mean, you learn. I guess. And the way to know is by learning, but that's a tough one to learn on.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow.
What were you doing in that tournament? What tactics?
We were trolling crankbaits.
Trolling crankbaits.
Yeah, little 1.5 inch stick baits.
Oh, so you went from being someone that never did that to all of a sudden getting your first tournament and throwing some and trolling.
Yep,
So were you in your own boat or a buddy's boat or how'd that work?
I was in a buddy's boat at that time.
So you moved down to Colorado and you started walleye fishing tournaments.
Yep,
So how long were you down there and how'd that go for you?
I was down there for 12 years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, quite a while. During that time, lived in the Springs and then moved up to Denver, and they would do Wednesday night league nights. And a good buddy of mine is a former veteran, and he ended up getting a Ranger boat, so I was always invited to go out with him
Awesome.
on his boat. And we go out there, and you could fish for bass, you could fish for walleyes, trout, or carp, whatever category you wanted to get into. And we would always fish bass and walleye, because you could always have the potential of catching a smallie or
Yep.
a walleye at the same time. So we got into both of those categories, and right from there, several times we were in the money, and it was like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
I can do the finesse jigging, I can do the trolling, and that sparked it and kicked it off to where I am currently today, actually.
So I'd like to back up a little bit. How were you able to afford to live in Denver and fish at the same time? Because Denver, see, this can't be
It
no
was
money
tough.
left.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, when you're paying, I think at the time our fishing license were $42, and then you had to pay for an extra rod stamp, and then another $80 for a state parks pass on top of it
Holy
in order to even get into the parks. So,
wow.
when I lived in Colorado and I was doing those tournaments, like I said, I got with a few friends that one of them actually made his own jigs and poured his own jigs, and we kind of collaborated and started our own little custom bait business. And I don't even know if you want to call it a business, because it didn't really last that very long, and we kind of all just split ways. And my buddy, the military vet, he met me one day out ice fishing with a mutual friend, and we got to talking, and we started our own lure business at that point in time a few years later. Um, so we did custom lures,
Awesome.
and it's called DX Lures.
So what kind of stuff are you doing?
We would do primarily flutter spoons, ice fishing jigs, but we would do crankbaits, jerk baits, stuff like that as well.
Awesome. So you the oh, so what were you doing with all that?
I was helping paint
The
as well.
painter.
He was teaching me how to paint and everything. He had been painting for several years, way ahead, from high school or early high school is what he had said. So he taught me a lot of tips and tricks and everything of what I know today. And yeah, he still runs it today by himself. And I moved to Minnesota and we just split ways, but still great friends.
But you still paint now, don't you?
I do. I do for myself. Yeah.
Okay.
I get a couple friends that'll ask me to paint something for them, but as far as that, that's all it is. It's just a hobby.
Uh-huh. I
I
say,
didn't want to sell all my stuff and everything, so I just do it as a hobby for myself.
I see your stuff. Your stuff looks really good. I don't know if you're ever gonna make the jump and just start going crazy and lock yourself in a basement and paint for 9 hours a day.
No, no, those days are done. I mean, we got pretty busy when we did do it, um, to the point of, I work my full-time job, get home, sit and paint for 4 or 5 hours, and it, I got burnt out
What
and said I wouldn't do it again.
what's the best part of painting your own stuff?
Catching them on it. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
So is it hard to get into
Coming of
so for average dude, would it be hard to get an average guy painting if he wanted to paint his own custom stuff, or is it just not really worth the all the stuff is there a big setup to that?
I mean, there could be. It depends on where you want to take it. I mean, you could probably get into it fairly cheap for a couple hundred, with your airbrush and a cheap little air compressor and some paints.
I
I mean,
gotcha.
if a guy's not going to want to get too carried away, you could get into it for fairly cheap.
I know we all have, I know at least I do have a full set of markers in my boat just in case if I need to make doctor something up, but I don't think I've ever gone down the painting route.
Yeah, and it's fun, but I mean, a lot of it is you can get as creative as you want. Some people take it to a whole nother extreme, where the piece is actually, you know, an art piece.
Yep. Yeah, some of them seems like it's almost I don't know if it's paralysis by analysis, but they get like way down the weeds, and I'm like, I don't know if you need to do that much detail, but man, that looks awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you find out what the price is that people are paying for
Right?
them, and then you lose them to a pike, yeah, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at them and you buy custom, and I have a local gym that does some stuff for me. And you charge accordingly, but then you think about how much work goes into what they're doing, and
Yeah.
that's crazy amount of stuff. Like when you realize that it's a stencil or some stencils are laying across there, painting and pulling off, and that's wow, that's and it's so small. I mean, I think I was talking with somebody about doing Selmos for me. He's like, yeah, I'll do them for you, but you're taking all the split joss, all the hooks, everything off. I'm not doing that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But then I realized if you're doing 30, 40 of those things a day and you're don't get them blanked, that's a lot of work. Just
Oh
doing
yeah,
that part of it,
definitely.
right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those custom guys too that charge, you send them a blank or something and it has the hooks on
Yep.
them, they're going to charge you 25 cents per hook and ring that they have to take off because that just impedes their spray time.
Yeah. I always tell them don't put them on. I'll take care of. Put them back. You just move on to the next order and give me them loose. I'll put them back because most of the time, like I'd sell them, I generally change out the back hook anyways and the front split ring so it's not the size of a pea, right? I want something I can actually get to.
Yeah, upgrade them.
So what's the when painting stuff? What's the craziest like time it took you to paint one? Do you ever gone like down a rabbit hole where you just keep putting layers of paint on and more stuff on?
No, I mean, I don't get very detailed about the only thing I probably spent the most time on is about 45 minutes and made a bait look like an American flag.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's about all the intricate, more detailed I get. Other than that, it's just basically spraying my favorite colors.
I gotcha. How long does it take for you to do an average one if you're just doing? I don't know, fire tiger-ish looking thing.
Just a fire tiger. You just spraying up one. I mean, you can have it done in probably 5 minutes.
Oh, nice. That's not so bad. So,
It, no, it's the prep time. It's the taping of the bills. It's
oh,
the prep work that you have to do before you can even start spraying.
and then peeling all that stuff off. You got to heat them up when you're done
Yeah,
too, or no? Or like, do they dry on their own, or how's that work? How's the
yeah.
process work?
A lot of guys actually take like a blow dryer, blow dry them to dry, clear it before
Mm.
they clear to make sure everything's dry. Some guys will actually just let them sit out and air dry for 24 hours.
Oh, there you go. As a kid, we did jigs growing up because, well, I think probably because of me. I mean, you lose a lot of jigs, especially if you give a 10 through 14-year-old a pole with a jig on in the spring. You're probably going to be retying something on fairly quickly. So we did jigs growing up, but I don't really remember. We never did any like unless if we altered maybe with markers or something like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, I got into jig making a few years back. Got a couple molds now, and do that as well. Make my own bucktail jigs or
Mm,
just my own jigs for the river. Because, like you say, I mean, one cast you could lose 4 or 5 jigs.
right.
So
Yeah, and generally the fish like cover, right? They don't like to. I mean,
yeah,
it's awesome when they're out on a sand flat. That's great, but usually they're not out there, or sometimes you got to go in and get them out of the trees or the rocks and stuff, and it's not as conducive to keeping your tackle around long.
well, yeah, and I like those moon eye jigs for running plastics, and I think I bought a pack. I want to say it was like $12 for 4 jigs. I was like, oh, that's gonna hurt the pocketbook on the river.
Right? Yeah, they are getting up. They're very much getting up there in price. I actually looked at some molds, a little bit ago. I'm like, kind of wonder maybe I got a young kid likes fishing. Maybe I can get him into doing this.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
You could save a off. I mean, there's a lot of things like it seems like there's a lot of people that are going towards, at least around here. A lot of guys are tying their own flies, doing their own hair jigs and things like that. Even if they're not pouring the jigs, they're still putting the hair jigs on the back end. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's a pricing on stuff or people just kind of wanted their own custom look to everything.
I mean, yeah, that's what drove me to continue making my own crankbaits and to make my own jigs and stuff was the price point.
Yeah.
Not saying that those, manufacturers don't put out good baits or put out quality product. Uh, when you're fishing as much as I do and you're losing baits left and right, it hurts a lot less to know that I just lost a dollar blank in my time or whatever the
Right.
case may be, uh, rather than a store bought one that was 15 to 24 bucks.
Right. That's true. Plus the joy of, haha, I tricked you, man. I tricked you with my own colors, bro.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I like using a lot of long shank
Oh.
hooks for plastics.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those molds styles that I like running, you can't get them in a long shank Aberdeen hook. So you're able to customize your own jig to have a long shank or a short shank if you want. So
Right.
that's also the fun part about, making your own jigs as well. Plus, it's a lot cheaper.
Jig making parties. Here we go. We got to bring that back on
Oh
the
yeah,
right and just get together and just bang out a bunch of jigs.
exactly.
So you in Colorado and then you moved back to Minnesota. What was it like coming or moving back to Minnesota?
I loved it. Loved every minute of it. I missed the lakes. I mean, we had two major reservoirs, and each one took me about 30 to 40 minutes to get to in Colorado. And those are the only, well, there's like 3 lakes or reservoirs that they have walleye in my area where I was living. So to move back here, and I think I have 35 lakes in my area now within a 30-minute drive. Yeah, I'm happy.
How do you know which one to go to? You just spin a wheel and wherever it lands, that's the lake for the day?
Well, I've been here for 3 years now, and I've kind of got a fairly decent amount of time on the water, so I know where I need to go, typically what should be firing at that point in time in order to get on top of the walleyes.
So do you rather be on the open water or hard water?
Personally, I'd rather be on hard water.
Why is that?
I love ice fishing.
Why is
They call me they call me a polar bear. My family does not understand why I like being out in the cold and ice fishing, but I love it. I mean, as soon as I can get out 1.5 to 2 inches of ice with a spud bar, I'll do it.
so? What's the draw to the ice fishing? Is it just the elements? It's because you can go anywhere. What makes you
Because
want
I
to?
can access places that I normally can't from shore.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, growing up, just shore hopping all my life, you find those. I'll sit and look at my Navionics map, and I'll look at the lakes and look at the contours and everything, and I'll mark spots that potentially could hold walleyes in. And then in the wintertime, I get to go hit all those and eliminate water. So
Right.
if they don't produce, I just take them off my Navionics map, and maybe another time they might be there, but that given time they weren't. So I'll chart out some different areas and hit those in the wintertime.
So ice fishing. Are you primarily just looking for walleyes, or what other species do you fish?
Crappie as well. Yeah, I'll go crappie fishing, but if like Minnesota here, our season closes.
Yep,
So I will 100% target walleye all the way up until season closes, and then I'll go after panfish.
I gotcha. It's been closed for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey listeners, let's talk outdoor streaming. What is the best outdoor streaming platform out there? Well, it's simple. It's Fixed TV. Not only do they have this great program, but they have all kinds of hunting and fishing shows along with some weaponry shows. So when you get bored and need something to do, get your fix with Fixed TV. And when you're done with that and you have that fix to get out in the outdoors, jump on therealshot.com and get everything you need to satisfy your fix.
So well, you got no ice anyways, so you're kind of hosed there.
Yeah, no ice. So just been shore hopping for catfish. April 1st, our flathead catfish season opens,
Mhm.
so then I'll be hitting the river, targeting some cats as well, just to pass the time until the walleye season opens again.
When does that open for you guys?
Mother's Day,
Mother's Day. That's a big thing. It's
that
weird.
weekend.
It's weird because growing up in the Winnebago system, we're always open. So the rest of the state, there's different kinds of state that are closed for the lakes, but as far as the Winnebago system is always open year round. So I don't have that like holiday like you guys got. It seems like it's a national holiday for we can go fishing again, catch walleyes again. Where years ago, I mean, we could go whenever we want. It's either we're on the ice or we're on a boat. It doesn't much matter.
Yeah, and that was what was nice about living in North Dakota and growing up in North Dakota. Their season's open year round as well.
Oh,
So we would just fish local bodies of water around in North Dakota and wait until Minnesota opener. So we were always able to target them.
that's cool. So you got a boat last year?
Yeah, late last fall I got a boat. Yep.
How was that?
It's good. It's nothing fancy. It floats. It runs good. So that's all I need.
But how is it like having that full? Did you go crazy right away, or did you not have enough time to go crazy because the fall?
Yeah, I didn't have time to go crazy. It was pretty much just get it cleaned out. It had been sitting for, I think the guy said 5 years. Bought it from a friend of ours. He happened to be on the same campground as us. So
There you
I
go.
knew the condition of the boat before I got it, and knew that the engine was really good in it. So yeah, got it and cleaned it. Pretty much had to put it in storage other than taking it out for 2 trips, and that was it.
Did you catch fish on that first trip?
I didn't. My little daughter did though. Yeah, she lets me know that she's the first one to catch a fish in our boat. So
That's always awesome.
yeah,
So does she come along with you often, or oh,
she does. She likes to come out with me quite often. Yeah.
that's cool.
Haven't really ventured out to the river with her much, but yeah, we'll go around and we'll hit the docks and do some crappie fishing and uh, bullheads, So yeah, she does some ice fishing with me. 2 years ago, she did one time this year. She likes to kind of run around, so I don't want to take her out on stuff that's unsafe,
Right.
where I have to keep an eye on her too close. So,
Yep. So you're really itching to get out on the water.
oh yeah, yeah. And we were well, just it's probably 3 weeks ago now. We fished the freeze your butt off tournament
Oh, yeah.
in Mississippi River. So I mean, I'll make trips out there too to go out there and be on, on the walleye bite and everything too. So
But that was a nice
that
that was a
always
warm
helps.
event for you though.
That was a very warm event. Yeah. Yeah. There was no freezing in that tournament.
And you guys caught fish?
Yeah. We went out there for 2 days pre-fishing, and it was tough. We were battling 30, 40 mile an hour
Ugh.
winds and cold, and we were struggling to put 4 or 5 in a box. Tournament day rolled around, and it was beautiful, almost flat, calm conditions. And we had been down to Pepin, and we knew it was going to get one down there. We'd been down there, we just couldn't put anything together down there. So it was like, okay, well, let's go back to our spots that, we know we can put fish in the box that were fairly decent size, and maybe we'll get a unicorn fish and, give us a chance. So we stuck to our game plan. We headed north up to the dam right away, and the first 2 casts, my partner stuck a 21 sauger, and from there it was just one after another, and we were going through which ones we were going to keep and which ones we weren't, and kind of just all great day of just fishing.
Nice
If
one.
you would have told me on Thursday that we were going to catch a limit, or I mean on Friday that we were going to catch a limit Saturday, I would have laughed at you. It was tough.
It's nice when it all comes together like that.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes
Yeah,
there's no rhyme or reason to it, it seems like. I mean, obviously the weather, but like in your mind, it's like, I don't know how that just happened until like a week later when you figure out what actually happened.
well, yeah, and we were spending a lot of time vertical jigging or trolling Dubukes,
Mm.
and battling that wind and trying to troll Dubukes was pretty tough. So I was like, okay, well, there's got to be something that we could do. So that night, Friday night, we were talking about pitching white blade baits up into the current and then working them back to us spot locked.
Yep.
And that's what all of our fish came on. Was that is just slow hopping it right off the bottom, like a dead gizzard shad coming right into their mouth.
I could toss a blade bait pretty much the rest of my life, I think.
It's fun.
It is.
When you feel that thump, that's a fun bite.
Right. And it's not like it's hard to learn. I mean, all tactics have, a learning curve to them, but that one, it just seems like I could just do that forever. I could just, everywhere I go, it's like one of my first things I rule out, because that's what you rule out the stuff you want to do, right? So I usually have to fish that for a while, rule that out, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta go on to something else then.
Well, and it's such a versatile bait too. I mean, you can cast it, you can vertical jig it. There's so many different presentations you can do with that one bait.
Yep.
That people don't really think of.
Although the only bad part is you do got to stay away from wood generally.
Yes. Yeah.
Rocks
They are
are
definitely
fine. It
snag
seems
happy.
like, yeah, you get in some woods, you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah.
I know I
Yeah,
fished.
and I even use them ice fishing.
Oh, I have not done that. I vertical jig with them.
Yeah.
I've had success this year with them doing vertical jigging. A couple years ago, me and my partner, I came up with a plan at a tournament, there was sunken trees, and during the week I was catching them with blade baits around the trees, but I could see around the trees because it was calm and the 360. Well, the wind picked up and we couldn't see around the trees after I think I lost 7 in a row, and then we decided we'd do something else.
Gotcha.
I'm like, if we can
Yeah.
just get between these trees, we will catch fish, I promise. But,
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
Yeah, when we were fishing up on the dam, I think we lost like 4 or 5 blades in a quick 15-minute span. But that's where they were.
Yeah.
So it's ultimately the sacrifice you make of getting those fish in the box.
Yeah, when it's tournament time and they're there and they're biting, it's easier to spend those dollars, it seems like.
Yeah. especially on a bait that's working.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to do that.
So what is your general favorite thing to do?
Um, I really like to finesse fish them. If I can pitch for them, that's the way I'm going to do it. I don't spend a lot of time slip bobbering. I've done it. I'm just not. I'd rather feel that
Mm.
tick.
You guys are slip bobber capital, I feel like, over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of slip bobbering that you could be done over here for sure. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it takes you back to when you were a kid
Yep.
sitting on the dock and bobber fishing, watching that bobber go down with a big old sucker minnow or a creek chub.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it gets your adrenaline going, but I like feeling that tick
Yeah.
of a jig.
Yeah, there's really nothing better than that, really.
Oh yeah, and they're so versatile, different ways to be able to present it. And that was kind of one of my things is moving to Colorado really pushed me to be fishing with artificials.
Mm.
They have really strict guidelines on aquatic bait down there. And so a lot of it was, pushing myself to use hair jigs and plastics
Okay.
and stuff like that. So those years I was definitely critiquing myself on what I'm doing wrong because there was many times I'd go out and get skunked.
Okay.
And you're just working a bait too hard or do this. My buddy would help me out and give me little pointers and everything, and yeah, now it all makes sense.
Right. There's so many things you can do with a bait too. If it's, twitches fast, slow, I mean, so many things you can do to
Yeah,
trigger a bite. Like I most of my time growing up was always very slow, very, you know, finite movements and dragging things. And it wasn't until recently, and I think it's the blade baits that made me realize I can go fast. You can go fast and trigger these bites, and obviously the big tournament guys have proved you can do that. And for all the rest of us to kind of go, okay, I can. This is something that I'm going to put in my tool chest and use this more often, even if the weather or the time of year doesn't necessarily say it can happen. You pull it out, you try a couple casts and see what happens.
yeah, exactly. And in Colorado, we used to troll Smithwicks a lot.
Hmm.
Right after ice off, their walleye season didn't close either, so we would troll Smithwicks at 0.7 to 1 right away after ice off and be very successful at it. And a lot of guys would be, well, that's way too fast, but it works.
Right? Yeah, there's so many things. It's weird that what's working for you might not work for me, but may work. It all depends on that moment of what they want that second, or how you can trick them for that
Exactly.
second. I mean, you can have two methods work in the boat together. They don't have to necessarily be the same thing.
Yeah. The biggest thing was, I was always taught is, as soon as ice off, warmer water. Look
Yep.
for warmer water, and that's where your most active fish are going to be. So,
So, what's your fishing pet peeve?
fishing pet peeve would be somebody comes and wants to sit up 3, 4 feet right next to you, and you're the only one on the lake. I mean, I've had that happen twice last year, and I was the only one out there, and they came right up next to me. And I get it's a public area, but at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't do that just out of respect and courtesy.
Right?
I'll go find some other spot nearby that, a little bit farther away and give respectable distance.
Do you think they're doing it because they know you're on fish, or because I don't know. That's the other reason why is they just, or it's their spot, or like community spot.
I don't know. And well, it was 2 years ago. We were out in my buddy's portable and we were on fish. And the very next day we went back out there and somebody had drilled a hole right in front of his door and it was still fresh. But we were like, what the heck? And there was holes all around his ice house and everything. And they were like, oh yeah, we were using live scope and the fish were right here. It's like, well, yeah, that's where the house is.
So into live scope, what do you think?
I don't have one personally, but I mean, it's an advancement to the technology that we have. I mean, I get the whole controversy from people saying that it's bad, people saying that, it's not bad. So I think it's how we use it and how, if a guy's going out there with the bad intentions of every day he wants to fill the freezer, yeah, that could be detrimental for some bodies of water. Um, we had a big conversation about this when I went to a DNR meeting just 2 weeks ago here, and that was the main topic was forward-facing sonar, and they were looking at if they're going to have to change possibly the limits, in Minnesota because of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually shocking to see the results from surveys over the last, I think they said 3 years, where 98% of the anglers were actually catch and release.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. More people are catch and releasing now than they probably ever have.
Right.
And I don't know if it's, the guys that are pushing, getting the word out there for conservation, whatever it may be, but obviously it's working.
I think it's a lot of it could be generational too. Um, older you are, you may have not grown up in great easy times, right? Or if
Yeah.
your grandpa was in a depression, so they grew up pretty poor, so your dad would have been stingy on stuff. And I think now either generations like mine or younger, or ours are younger. There's not necessarily. I don't know. I think it's more take a pitch and release it than it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's
There's
majority of what I do.
there's definitely some people out there that are out there to take, but in my mind, I don't think it's the DNR's responsibility to take the live scope away from us. The DNR's responsibility is to keep people to fish properly and not to overtake fish. And I think that them wanting to take live scope away is kind of just pushing something else on us. It's not, it isn't our responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure people aren't overtaking fish. And you guys got to do what you have to do. I get their budgets are low, and they, a bunch of other stuff that's going on, and each individual states, has the same basic issue now. But at the end of the day,
Well, 100%.
their job is to make sure people don't overtake, and there is a percentage of people that do that. But I don't know if live scope is. I mean, yeah, it helps. I mean, it helps put you on fish. Doesn't help you catch fish, but so did side imaging, or when guys would put side imaging on. I know people that still put side imaging on their troll motor in front because it works pretty well, right? If
Exactly.
you don't want to use live scope, we don't have live scope. I mean, me and you fished an ice fishing tournament, and there was 3 live scopes in that little pond, and
Yeah.
everybody found the fish. I think those fish were like getting microwaved all day long because of
Exactly.
what a 6-acre pond or whatever, and they had 3 live scopes banging at them all day long, and we didn't catch much fish. I mean,
No, we didn't. It was tough.
it was a weird day, but it shows you that you still have to do other things, and
Yes. Yeah, for them to want to ban it and everything, I think that's wrong. I've heard some tournament series want to go that route. Eh, I don't think that's the right decision to make.
right.
Um, but and then like you said, I mean, I'm 100% the DNR doing their job. It's up to them to make sure that there's people out there that are not overtaking and poaching over their limit. But then at the same time, like around here, I don't know about for your area, but where I'm at, we only have one DNR
Oh,
agent to cover a pretty vast area of bodies of water. And that's when it comes down to us as anglers. I know we don't want to be that person, but
that's true.
when you watch somebody carry off
Yeah.
8, 9, 10 walleyes and you know that they're over the limit,
Yeah.
we just have to step up and, and make that phone call that we don't want to make.
Yeah. See something, say something. Yeah, you are right. We do know who they are. I mean, you all know who the guy that came back at the end of the day for his second trip. Everybody does know who that
Yeah.
person is. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That is a very good point.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to make that phone call, but
Right.
if I see you down there and you're coming back 3, 4 times over several days, I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, I'm a pretty much 100% catch and release.
Yep.
I'll keep one fish here because me and my daughter like to eat it, but one fish feeds me and her.
Yeah.
When you factor in sides and everything
yeah, for
else.
sure.
So
Yeah, we don't. I mean, maybe once every couple of weeks we'll keep for a meal, but we don't. Yeah, there's no. I mean, I think overall, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but overall by us, fishing has gotten better, and the rules and regulations they put, we went from 5 to 3 in the Winnebago system a couple years ago, or 4 years ago, which probably saved the system.
Okay.
And now they want to do a little more, do some slot limits, which I'm totally fine with, as as long as people can keep a giant when they catch one for a mounting, that's cool. But I got generally the grand scheme of things, I really don't have any problems with the regulations. They have to kind of keep up with times, right? I mean, if you
Well, yeah.
right, I mean, you guys had issues over the past with fishing, and some of that was probably us Wisconsin boys coming over and hammering them and taking fish home. As a kid, I remember going over to Lake Winnebagosh and getting your 100 perch and coming home. Well, that probably didn't help when when you have a caravan that starts on Friday from Wisconsin that goes all the way up to Winnebagosh, it comes right back on Monday, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't help. That getting those
Well, yeah, and
limits,
out of town, and we get it all from across states. I
right?
mean, there's guys from Minnesota that go over to Wisconsin
You
and
guys come,
everything like that too.
yeah,
So,
yeah. You guys come for our crappie, just so weird.
yeah.
You guys come for crappie, we go for perch. I don't really get it, but
See, and there's some massive perch, and I don't know why they come to Minnesota for perch because North Dakota and South Dakota have massive
right. Well, it's
perch.
closer, I think. It's just to chop the board, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you want to make the extra hump, but I don't. How are their? I guess I've never went out there perch fishing. Do they have? What are their limits like out there? Aren't they pretty stringent though? Like 25?
I think they are. Don't quote me. It's been a long time since I fished North Dakota, but I think it's 20.
Okay.
But
Well,
when you can average perch that are 15 inches,
that's true. It's like keeping
it's
20
worth
small
the
walleyes.
drive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just don't. I don't know. It's at some point you can't really. The more we want to control, it'd be like taking live scope away. I just don't think that's. I don't know. I don't think that's a really a starter. I don't even know. I mean, I get why people are up in arms about it. I understand why. I think the muskie circuit took it away, but muskies are a different breed, right? You can sit there and
Well, yeah.
if you find them, you can smack them in the head over and over, and eventually they get pissed and they bite, right? I mean, that's kind of the nature of the species for them. But they also could do that with side scan. They could side scan them and find them where they are and go and bang
True.
away for a couple hours and try to get them to hit.
Yeah. I think the most alarming thing, going back to the meeting with the DNR, I think the most alarming thing was somebody had brought up when or if ever will Minnesota go to a two-pole open water season. And they said never, basically,
Mm,
because their system was built on a one rod. But wintertime, we can have two. And when they showed us the graphs of how many people ice fish
right?
versus open water fish, it was about triple
Yeah.
for the body of water. And you're allowing two in the wintertime and a lot more pressure. I mean, nearby a lake that I go to quite a bit for crappie, on a given day in the summertime, you might see 20 boats out there all day. Wintertime, you're going to see around 350 houses out there. So that's the biggest thing I think is the amount of pressure that these lakes get in the wintertime. People aren't traveling as far anymore. They're
Right.
staying more local to their bodies of water.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making that, well, from here to Lake of the Woods, it's like 7 hours. They're not making those 7 hour trips as much anymore.
No.
So that puts a lot of pressure on our local lakes.
Yep.
And around here, our local lake walleye population is 100% stocked from what they say. They do not they don't spawn and it doesn't take in the springtime. So they have to stock them.
Wow. Yeah, that's not. That's weird because we, growing up, we've always been 3 poles in Wisconsin, which is just. I mean, you're just used to it. I mean, I don't know. You guys would probably, your brain would probably fry if we said, "Hey, go ahead and have 3 poles."
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like going over to the Mississippi because then I can go on the Wisconsin side and I can run 3 poles.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so when you're trolling, you're pulling, by yourself. It's 1 pole.
Yeah, on the inland bodies of water, yeah.
You gotta get a whole boat of people to get a full pull in.
Yeah, my buddy's got a pretty nice size warrior, and in the fall time, we'll get 6 guys in there and pull three on each side.
That's funny. Yeah, ice. I mean, I guess yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if we like even by us. I mean, people do have all their poles out. I think shore guys, definitely have the 3 poles out here all the time. Um, and trollers for a big body to water. I think they do it. A lot of people, a lot of people still do pull in hand. You know,
Yeah,
still do casting and floating a bobber around. I don't know how people can sit on a reef with 3 bobbers out all day long and keep them track of them where they are. But that's for them to do, not me, I guess.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's why we've been pushing the 2 rod limit here in Minnesota. A bunch of anglers have it because I mean, a limit's a limit.
Yeah, that's true.
So it doesn't matter if I'm using 2 poles or if I'm using 6. I still can't keep over my limit.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, it's again, it puts back to them. Their job is
Yeah.
enforce the laws, and our job is to only catch what we're supposed to catch.
Yep, exactly.
So do you have any big plans for this year? Any tournaments you're looking forward to do more tournament fishing? What are your big hopes for 2024?
So for 2024, I'm actually going to be fishing for the first time the National Walleye Championship.
Awesome.
So, me and, as you know, Delta Walleye,
Yep.
we will actually be going to Lake Erie in May to fish the NTC.
Awesome.
So yeah, looking forward to that. That's why I'm in the process of painting a bunch of bandits and everything is for that tournament.
Oh,
So yeah,
and that's pretty much your lure, isn't it?
yeah, that's basically all. Yeah, having nightmares from them.
So are you guys?
I don't have a lot of other blanks other than that, so
That's probably the easiest blanket to get, though, huh?
that is, yeah.
There's a lot. God, there's a lot of colors out in bandits.
Yes, there is.
Even
Yeah, stock colors, they have a lot.
even stock colors are crazy. And then you get into like the whole custom painted version, and the more you get towards like here, you can really. I mean, there's walls that I've seen full of just different colors. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, and then now you got I think they're called dead eyes
Oh yeah,
or something. They're similar to a bandit.
yep,
I mean, those custom guys, they go crazy on those too. So
yeah, right. And then then you got the um for the Berkeley fellas, the deep hit stick that they're meant to compete with. I'm guessing
yeah,
coming out now. So
yeah, and then what the new one now is, I've seen a lot of custom guys painting is the Walleye X.
oh yep, yeah.
So that's a new one that I've been seeing quite a bit getting painted up.
What's the one you don't like to paint? What's one that annoys you the most?
Um, I'd have to say lipless crankbaits are probably the ones that I'm not a big fan to paint out, but
because they got nothing to hold on to.
yeah, there's nothing to hold on to them.
Like the back where the split ring goes to. They do the back side or the front where the line goes to, I suppose.
Yeah, just use a force snips basically to latch onto the one of the eyelets and clear coat them.
You're probably pretty quick at putting snaps back on though, or
Yeah, pretty quick. It's the worst part, but yeah, it goes pretty fast.
so what technique are you looking for? Or is there any techniques that you're still looking to master?
I mean, there's so much change. I have talked to quite a few anglers that tournament fish and drop shot.
Mm.
I have yet to drop shot for walleyes. And I'm very curious. I know that the bass guys have done it a while, and I guess the walleye guys, some of the big names have done it as well for years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one thing I would like to definitely add to my arsenal is figuring that technique out.
Right, it's different. I've been doing it this will be I think my 3rd year I've been doing it, and I've had success. I don't seem to like other things like jigs and crankbaits. You can pretty much find you can catch fish on them all year long. I haven't quite
Hmm.
figured out the tricks to be able to put fish in the boat because there's times a year, like obviously springtime, I thought would be just the perfect time for them. And I can't seem to make them work in spring. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the current too much or what it is. Um, Post spawn, I seem to be fine doing it. Summertime, late in the fall was great, and then but the late June, August, I don't know if it's something different I got to do or maybe a different tip to it. But yeah, it's definitely weird learning all that stuff. I spend, like everybody, you read everything you see and all that kind of stuff. And I generally look to the bass guys a lot to what new crankbaits coming out that can go deeper and when you're casting it. And obviously, drop shot for them was huge over there and trying to get it to
Yeah.
work for us. I mean, it catches fish. I just don't. I guess I'm not really confident either yet, too. Maybe that's half my problem.
Yeah, and that could be. I mean, I seem to do all right with just a jig and, finesse fishing blades or something along that line. So it's like, well, it's one of those things I'd like to learn, but is it the end of the world if I don't?
Right.
Probably not.
Right. And I think it's so like from what I gather, bass guys are generally you you don't want any weight on them. You want the least amount of weight so they don't feel it picking up the soft mouth and all that stuff. But in the walleye world, a lot of times we're in and around currents. So you need a little more weight for that. So it's just kind of like a weird, on the lakes, I'm fine with it. Rivers, it's been like, I don't know. But you know what? Ned rigging, though, I love me some Ned rigging for walleyes in the river. It is spectacular.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard. I've yet to do it. I want to try it on Pepin.
It's so similar,
So
but just
hopefully.
the little bit of details. I did a um for a blog post, and we went and caught. What we catch in one day, we try to get every different kind of fish we could catch in the river. So we end up catching a panfish, a perch, uh, a quail, quailback, a walleye, a flathead, a white bass, and it's all in the same lure. And didn't change colors, didn't change anything. Just walked up and down. We were actually doing for a shore thing, and we did up and down the shore, and it was awesome.
Oh, nice.
So that was kind of cool. That's one of my new favorites.
One of my ways I'm going to try this year, and I don't know how well it'll work, but I've heard guys doing it, is in the river actually taking a planer board and putting out like a number 5 flicker shad or something and just letting the current drive that planer board out for you.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. It does. You need. Well, around here this year we wouldn't have enough current, but as a kid, my dad used to do that. He used to have an old yellow bird he would put out and push it out, and we never really caught much on it, but yeah, it does work. But this year we're currently like a foot and a half below where we were last year, and last year we were low, so there's no flow around us whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I was actually in the river where it's normally you barely can feel the bottom with a 3/8 ounce jig. I was flipping a 1/4 ounce in front of the boat and had no problem. And I felt like I had too much weight on the other day. I'm like, just
Oh, wow.
crazy. Normally I should be flying through there barely to touch bottom. And now it's like, it's like it's summertime. It's like in the middle of a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're currently on the Minnesota River here. I think we're currently 4 or 5 feet below.
Wow.
So we could definitely use the snow or
Yeah.
rain or whatever.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to get you out of here on this last question. If I could tell you can't go fishing, you only could go one more day, who you taking, where you going, what you doing?
One more day, I'm taking my dad, and we are going to Otter Tail Lake in Minnesota.
Back trolling?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Back to where it all basically started, other than shore fishing.
That's cool. So do you guys fish a lot much anymore or not too much?
No, we still fish quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much. I'm 4 hours away from him now.
Yeah.
But he's got a camper on the South Dakota Minnesota border at a campground. So
Wow.
hopefully you spend a lot more time out there and learn that body of water out there.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you have great success this year in the NTC. That'll be a blast for you guys.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
If
I
you're
think it's going to be a blast.
right, I hope you got good weather too. That's what I'd be concerned about. As long as you have the winds stay down.
Yeah. Yeah. No blow days would be nice.
Awesome. Oh, well, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
No problem. If you're looking to be on an episode of Walleye Chronicles, hit me up on my socials on TikTok at Smile and Fish or on Instagram at Matt Snell. And remember, there's 2 things you can do every day in someone's life to cheer them up. 1 is give them a smile, and 2, take them fishing. Thanks a lot and have a great day.